Hello everyone, in this video I want to talk to you about the channel. The channel name is China Uncensored. So I watched some of the video and I feel that I don't really agree to it, and I feel that I need to speak out, because China has been heavily there has been racism, and China has been heavily criticized by the US, but it's not China's problem, it's actually the US problem. The US has been notified that a virus appeared in China on the 13th of January. They had 8 months to prepare for this pandemic, but they did not, they did not take it seriously enough. And right now there's over 160,000 cases in the U.S. And right now Trump is blaming China. Why does he blame China? Look at the other country. The other countries are not blaming China. Do you know why? Because Trump, he wants his re-election. He doesn't want the blame to go onto his head. So what can he do? The only option that he has is to blame anything other than himself. And conveniently, since this virus started in China, well, it's easy for Trump to blame the start of this virus from China. So let's look at some videos of China Uncensored. So the first video that I watched is coronavirus destroys United States and China relation. So first I want to say, before there was the trade war. So it's not because of the coronavirus that is destroying the relationship between the US and China. The US always wants to be the world superpower. China just wants to do his thing. Just leave China alone. Like, why do you focus so much on China? Talking about China's human rights. You look at North Korea. Do you think North Korea's human right is more important? Why do you always focus on China human right? Look at Saudi. Look at the women's right there. Look at Zimbabwe. Look at countries in Africa. Look at the gay rights there. Why does the United States and Chris Chappell, which is an American, they do not focus on those? Because China is the second superpower, and the US is not going to focus on North Korea because North Korea, is an easy country to beat economically and militarily. But China, is second superpower. So the US wants to do whatever it takes in order to defame China and in order for China not to be the #1 in the world. Chris Chappell, I'm laughing right now because from this epidemic, we all see that China comes on top. Okay, I'm very happy about it. So as I said in the first video, it's not that China is destroying the US relationship with the coronavirus. You don't even know where it started. I think it started from the military games, in Wuhan. American soldier brought the virus to Wuhan. So right now it's way too early to say that China started this virus. Just look at the Spanish flu, for example. It started in the America, but because it exploded in Spain, so we call it the Spanish flu. But where does it originated in America? So right now, if you do not have enough evidence, then please stop calling this a Chinese virus until you do much more research. I speculate heavily that this virus has been started in the United States. Okay, the second video that I saw is coronavirus cure isn't authoritarian. Okay, what do you imply by this title? Do you imply that freedom and like liberty is gonna cure coronavirus? Well, just look at what's happening in the United States right now. There's 160,000 cases in the US. See, what does the freedom do to people? Churches are still open. People are still go on the beach. President Trump says everybody stay home, but nobody listen to him because there's too much freedom. And also the privatized healthcare in America means that people that are poor, the doctors are just gonna leave him to die. Why? Because when something is privatized and it's not controlled by the government, the private companies, what do they want? They just want to make a buck. They just want to make money. The more money, the more happy they are. Do you understand? So if you think that authoritarian isn't the cure, well, we see that freedom and liberty isn't the cure. Look at what's happening in the world. You know, for example, look at Great Britain. You know, just look at Italy. You know, this all Western country, and you see like what happens. Like it happened, the same thing happened. You know, and it's gotten worse than China. You know, right now China is not the top leading, you know, cases. You know, right now the United States is first, and after is the Italy. So do you see? So why don't you tell your audience that, you know, maybe China is doing, you know, better than the US? You know, because all your audience is like Chinese haters. So you want to, you know, give them this rhetoric, you know, that China is evil and blah blah blah. Okay, and the third video that I watched is another virus emerges in China. It's called hantavirus. Why do you think you posted this video? Because you have nothing to talk about. Because everything is going great in China. Because right now there are no new cases. Just look at America, for example. There could be 1 million people that contracted the disease, but only 160,000 people, the CDC says, has contracted the disease because they do not have enough test kits, right? Had they had enough test kits, they would have, you know, more than 160,000. A Johns Hopkins University professor, do you know what he said? He said, it's possible, it's very probable that, you know, right now there's 1 million cases in the US. US, where's your transparency? You know, it's not transparent. Right now what you're doing is not transparent. Do more tests and reveal the word, you know, how many cases there are. Because if you do not reveal the word, if Trump wants his re-election so bad that he starts to like mishandling, you know, all the cases, you know, the numbers, you know, and the US can be, you know, a dangerous spot, you know, for the world, because the US people are just going to spread the disease, you know, around the world. So please tell us the exact number. And stop calling this, you know, the CCP virus. It has nothing to do with CCP, okay? It's not because the CCP cover up that America screwed up. You know, America has been notified since January 13th, okay? And you had 8 weeks to do this. Trump says, you know, if the weather is good, you know, everything is going to be fine. No, it's not going to be fine, okay? Stick to the fact. And Trump, when there was like 15 patients, what did Trump say? Trump said, there's only 15, okay, they're going to go down to 0. You know, like Trump, he is, you know, this very arrogant man. He says, like right now he's even, you know, hoping that, you know, on Easter, the whole country is just going to like miraculously open up, and the churches are going to open up, and this virus is gonna, you know, not be there anymore. Like how? I don't know how his brain works. Like you have to be like crazy to think that things are going to go the way the way you want. The virus doesn't listen to you, Donald Trump. Okay. So you started to talk about hantavirus, you know, and you started to talk about possible second wave of infection because you have no news to talk about, because China has been doing great. You know, China has been the greatest it has ever been. You know, the reason that you posted those 2 videos because you want to instill fear in some Chinese people and in some, you know, Chinese people overseas, because you want the people who look at your videos, they be happy, all the, you know, Chinese hater. But like maybe they are happy, maybe they believe that there's a second wave of infection, maybe they believe the hantavirus, but it's not true, right? So like they can be as happy as they want, but this is not true, so they're just happy for nothing. Okay. And you said another video of yours right now is like what, the 6th video, you talk about the biological weapon. So we do not know if it's a biological weapon for the US or from China, because no country would build a biological weapon that would destroy his own people. Okay, just look at the 3 first, you know, big clusters, you know, of coronavirus. First there's China, second, you know, there's Iran, and after there's Italy. Why does the US target Italy? I think the biological weapon is coming from US. The US target Italy because Italy has joined China's, you know, One Belt, One Road, and it has betrayed the United States and has betrayed Europe. So that's why the United States wants to unleash the coronavirus in Italy. Second, Iran, because US has always, you know, have disagreements with Iran, and US has always, you know, been imposing sanctions, you know, the Iranian people. And you want to destroy Iran, because if you impose sanctions, then Iran cannot get medical supply. So it's an easy way for you to take them out. And also China, because you've been in the trade war and Trump is not going to win the trade war. So that's why you target China. because if you unleash a virus in China, maybe, their economy will collapse. That's what you hope. But right now it backfired on you. The biological weapon from the United States has backfired. Right now it's hurting its own people. It's already 10 minutes. I'm just gonna go through the last two videos real quick. So you said the coronavirus is a propaganda. Okay, China has been doing great. Right now the only one that's doing propaganda is the US. Okay, look, Donald Trump, he says, with hotter temperature, everything is gonna be fine. The cases are gonna drop. We're gonna be open for Easter. We're gonna go back to work. We're gonna have 50,000 ventilators, from General Motors. You think that's gonna happen? No, that's propaganda. That's 100% propaganda. And for another point of yours, criticism equals racism. Okay, when Trump says Chinese virus, first, he doesn't have proof. Second, the WHO doesn't agree with Donald Trump. Criticism doesn't equal to racism because this is not criticism. Okay, Trump, he's being very racist. He's targeting Asian American, saying that Asian Americans that live in the United States are starting a virus. Think about it. If a virus started in France, then Donald Trump would be calling this the French virus. If a virus started in India, Donald Trump would be calling this an Indian virus. So all immigrants in the United States, please think for it yourself and start denouncing this president. Because if you agree with him, maybe right now you are laughing at the Chinese. It's not us that gets all the racism, all the attention. But one day when a virus starts in France, then you will be crying because then the Trump will say, it's your fault, it's the French virus, and then you will be the victim of racism. China Uncensored, you are a very bad channel. Okay, have some self-respect, have some self-esteem, and stop pushing out those fake propaganda videos. Thank you.